Hey smokers, Tarago1 here, and today we're going to be installing Windows 95 on a cash register motherboard. Now I know what you're thinking, how the hell are you going to do that? Well, this is just a mini ITX motherboard, really, with an Intel Atom running at 1.6 gigahertz, I believe. I don't know, we'll figure it out. Right now it has 2 gigabytes of RAM in a SODIMM module. Now, as you all know, Windows 95 doesn't like that much RAM, so we'll have to knock it down a few notches. But before we do that, let's take a look at what else we're dealing with in this little make-your-own Windows 95 kit here. This episode's going to be a little bit risky, a little bit odd. We're currently using a SATA optical drive, and of course a SATA SSD. So you're probably thinking, wait, that's highway to the danger zone, trying to use a bar of soap as your storage medium. But seriously though, Windows 95, I really don't think likes SATA, but I have a workaround for making that work. And I've had a few comments about some of you really not liking it when I do this. It just really makes me want to do it more. So of course we have this combo of... the weird thing about the motherboard is that it was all supposedly integrated in this cash register computer, which had dual displays. Clearly it doesn't have that anymore, and really all we have is the bare circuitry. So over here though we have this blunt / power supply, and shit. So yes, the motherboard and power supply circuitry are insulated, if you will, by this pizza box that I believe is the same box for the pizza that I ate in the iMac G5 SSD video. So yeah. Now here's a fair warning and small promise. I actually will be uploading this video. What kind of statement is that since you're already watching it? Well, I've actually tried to shoot 2 other videos with this motherboard, and it's been nothing but disasters. I've had to just delete the footage because everything didn't work out. The first time I tried to install Crysis on it, that didn't work. And then the next time I tried to, well, install Windows 95 on it. So we're not doing so good so far. So I'm gonna try and make it happen this time, and we'll see how this pans out. So before we even begin, we're gonna need a smaller RAM module because, as you know, Windows 95 doesn't like anything bigger than a gig. Maybe even less than that. I really don't know, but I think we'll be safe with a 500 megabyte one. But since I don't know where one is, we'll have to find out of all of these. Shit. Most of these won't work because it's... Crap, that one almost got stuck. Ooh, that's a keeper right there. That won't do it. Nope. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a winner! Ladies and gentlemen, we have another winner! Hello everyone, my name is Ramapplier, and today I'm going to be installing this 512 megabyte SODIMM into this micro ITX motherboard. Some of you may not be familiar with this form factor of motherboard, but I'm going to remind you that this in fact is a form factor, and we will be installing this RAM module today. So now that we've cleared out all the RAM we don't need, and have probably damaged part of the motherboard in the process of dumping said RAM onto it, we will move right along and stuff. Damn it! Now, a very crucial step in our Windows 95 installation is, well, the ability to install it at all. So we'll need to plug in this frickin' kidding me SATA cable into the motherboard, and then subsequently plug it into the back of this right here. Sometimes you'll get this upside down and have to turn it over again. And there, that's better. Don't forget your power. Damn it. There. Installing Windows 95 off of a SATA drive is troublesome because you can actually load up the driver for the CD drive and you can actually get something bootable and running. However, after said period of time, you will have an issue because DOS and Windows 9X really have no idea what SATA CD drives are. So we're gonna try it. This drive right now has a copy of Windows 10 on it, so I don't know how that's gonna work. So, and of course, let's not forget actually connecting the. Oh, SATA power, where'd you go? Oh, you're just gone. Okay, you want to play that game, huh? Well, we can play that game right now. I got one of these, and I am quite familiar how to use them. Oh, yes. Yes, you will cheat life, just like this. You see, it is not hard to get computer functioning if you have right tools. Now that our motherboard has the proper amount of UV exposure, we can go ahead and turn it on. Another crucial step. You gotta plug it in too. So, there. Oh, crap. There. So a major problem with this motherboard is, well, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I didn't actually connect all the pins or whatever. I don't know. But basically, for whatever reason, it will just power on when you apply power to it. And it'll power on, power off when you take power away. So basically like any other appliance, and for whatever reason any power button I do plug into this doesn't work. So I probably just didn't try enough pins out or whatever. Alright, let's see if this will do anything at all. Hey, the RAM's not bad! So right now it's probably going to try and boot from the SSD, which has Windows 10 on it. And somehow it's actually booting up. But here's something funny. In the Crisis video, I set the actual display driver to be disabled on startup. So you won't actually see anything. Why did I do this? I don't know. Holy crap, it works. But really, Windows 10 on this motherboard it's really should not be installed on this motherboard. It is terrible. Look at this. I'm not slowing down the video. This is going smooth in real life. Like, this is the main menu. This is the main menu. And it's going at 1 FPS. I mean, look at this. I mean, I'm smooth. Look at this. This is smooth right here. This is not smooth. Yeah. So this is Quake 3 on Windows 10, and we are getting a little bit sidetracked in this video, but I just wanted to show you just how bad this is. I mean, I wanted to play Crisis on this. I mean, it's not going to happen. Now, I actually did play Quake 3 on Windows 7 on this computer, and you could actually play it. It was like 15 FPS, but it was a dramatic difference. Now we're loading this off an SSD, so this is all on the processor right now. So yeah, I guess. Of course, we don't have any sound because I don't have any speakers hooked up. But we'll walk forward. Oh my God! Oh, I got the shotgun. Woo! Ready for this? Oh my God! I've never seen the actual shells come out in that much detail before. Okay, so I think it's time we put this Windows 10 installation out of its misery, and this is Windows 98. You know that, but I need to use this to boot up the computer first, so that we can actually load up Windows 95 and then install it, I guess. So hopefully, it doesn't get too mad at the fact that not only is it an SSD, and we're not using this piece of shit anymore. Pure SATA. Pure SATA. I think it's gonna croak. But let's just look at the specs for this Intel Atom at 1.6 gigahertz. As I said before, 512 megabytes of RAM, which is really, really not enough for Windows 10. But somehow this actually started up. It didn't take that long either. Go SSD, I guess. So yeah, let's go ahead and install this bit. Yeah. Shit. I think it made it. Well, if Windows 10 doesn't recognize it, then I'm really in trouble. So the thing about the Phoenix Award BIOS is it's a little bit unconventional, or kind of feels old-timey. I've used a 1988... No. It was the Arkenstone. You can actually look at my Arkenstone video. And if you look at the BIOS on that video, for that motherboard, which is like a 1993 motherboard, it looks a hell of a lot like this. And this has an Intel Atom in it. So, no excuses. No excuses. So this is where you select your boot devices. And the first boot device, as you can see, is the CD-ROM. Boot other devices enabled. So if it finds something else somewhere else, which it managed to do because it booted Windows 10, it'll do it. As you can see, my second and third boot device are disabled right now. So since, for whatever reason, it didn't detect that I have my CD drive plugged in, hopefully it'll actually do something. CD booting, and there we are. Windows 98 startup menu. How many dollars I got for this now? I probably got like 45. No boot from CD-ROM. So this is where things get a little hectic. So one of the problems you're going to see is I'm going to start computer with CD-ROM support. Now this is the very first thing you need to do, and you're probably going to see me do it a lot. Let's see if I can cut this down to the shortest amount of boots possible because I keep making mistakes. And one of the first rookie mistakes is to attempt to switch over your, what is it, Active Directory or whatever. Okay, so we've actually not loaded the CD-ROM drivers because of reasons. Even though the computer just booted off of the CD, it didn't actually load the drivers for it. So what are we going to do with that? I don't know. So first problem, let's see if we can run FDISK. Now FDISK is what you'll want to run. As you can see, it's accessing the disk drive right now. Your computer has NTFS partitions, which may require larger drive support. Okay, whatever. This is the biggest stumbling block, even more so than actually loading the CD. So we want to display partition information. I pressed F4. Okay. Okay, so it detects that there is a NTFS partition, and that is our Windows 10. And it even detects the, interestingly enough, on partition 1 there, it detects the little hidden partition that Windows 7, 8, and 10 like to make. So we're going to have to get rid of both of those. And this will destroy our Windows 10 installation. But we want to do this first to make sure we not only have a properly formatted, partitioned SSD, but so that it's ready for actual DOS format of the drive, which is another stumbling block to go over. This is something I've done so many times, and yeah, I forget the sort of order you need to do things in. And really, it doesn't matter too much. But let's keep going. Delete partition or logical DOS drive is the next cool step. Delete primary DOS partition. Delete non-DOS partition. Okay. If you wish to continue, yes. Non-DOS partition deleted. Okay, easy enough. It might actually still be bootable at this point, but we're going to keep going. Delete a non-DOS partition. And since NTFS is not DOS, we'll go ahead and do this. And yes, so now it is gone. We have nothing. So 1 and then 2, and it's verifying drive integrity. Sort of a finger crossing moment, but not really. I think I've seen drive integrity scans much faster than this before. Yes, we want to use the maximum size available. And what's probably going to happen is it's going to format it as FAT16, which will make me sad a little bit, but we'll press on. I don't think it's going to do anything. So it wants us to restart. So if I do dir here, it does access the disk. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be able to access the Windows 95 directory by just sending it to A, because the computer right now thinks that A is actually the CD drive and can access it, even though it had the Oak CD-ROM driver totally failed to load in any drivers. So that's that. Let's see if the format command works. It does not. In fact, it doesn't even have a format command. So, what do you do, right? Well, we could use the format command that's on the Windows 95 disk. It's risky because we'll probably have to do another restart, but whatever. Okay, so let's, at this point, we're going to pull the Windows 95, Windows 98 disk out. But we're just using it as our boot. We've FDISKed the drive. Putting in the Windows 95 disk, now this is where it's going to get a little bit risky. So if you notice the Oak CD-ROMs.sys at the bottom with the file creation date of, I don't know if you can see this, but it's 5698. That's the bottommost file. So we want to run dir again. And it is accessing the, oh god. Shit. Yeah, I have a feeling that's going to happen. So this is probably the biggest challenge to getting this working at all, is that it just doesn't like the drive. So let's see what happens if we put the, because it may have, its volume label may have changed and it gets really upset about that. The problem with the Windows 95 disk is that it is not bootable. That's a very big pitfall. So we retry now. It's going to re-recognize the Windows 98 disk. And there's our files. Okay, that's fine. That's cool. But don't fret, ladies and gentlemen. Hiren's BootCD is here to save the day once more. Now, Hiren's BootCD has a buttload of utilities and a bunch of crap. And in some ways, they're almost starting to go for kind of a quantity over quality. It's sort of like the Action 52 of boot CDs, where a lot of the utilities seem like they'd be useful, and it gives you a lot of different choices, but most of them don't seem to work very well, and some of them don't even work at all, or they're trial versions, or they don't offer any new features over anything else, and so it's kind of ass. So it is possible to boot the computer off of this USB flash drive. And so you're probably thinking, why didn't you just do that in the first place? I don't know. Let's try it. Here's another interesting anecdote. Ah, we finally found it. Holy crap, was it buried in here, and how unintuitive this is. I had the same reaction last time I looked at this, but look at this. This is the hard disk boot priority, and it actually recognizes the USB drive as a hard disk, but it doesn't say that anywhere else. So what we need to do is we need to change the priority. Done. Alright. So now that we've done that, we can go ahead and stop messing around with this and just set the first boot device to that, second boot device to CD-ROM. Actually, we may just flip that around a little bit because we don't actually have a working bootable CD-ROM. I'm going to switch to hard disk. Third boot device, I'm going to set it to be the USB floppy disk drive, just in case I want to plug one in, because I do have one. which is something we can also do if we literally cannot get the Windows 95 to work in any other way. So we're just going to try and boot from the CD, which you can't do. It does this. Okay. So, of course, we got Windows XP. I'm not going to use that. DOS programs, that's probably what we use. So, from here we have partition tools, backup tools, password and register tools, recovery tools, testing tools, hard disk tools, system info tools, custom menu. Next. Master boot record tools, viewers, multimedia tools, file system tools, other tools, grub for DOS, file managers, DOS, USB support, SCSI support, interlink support, DOS RAM drive size, DOS settings, DOS, DOS again. Actually, I wish I had more choice over what it was doing. So now we got DOS. Let's see if we can go to D. Alright, that's not gonna work. E. A. No. A. B. B. That never works. Everybody knows that never works. C. Even more crap. And if you guys are wondering, that is actually the Angry Video Game Nerd movie. Just if you were curious. Okay, so there's a lot of different things that we can load on for drivers. There's automatic, Q CD-ROM, the classic Oak CD-ROM, which didn't work, G CD-ROM, X CD-ROM, Vidi CDD, AHCI, which, you know, is kind of newer there. 1934 or 1394, I guess that's for FireWire stuff, I think. UDVD, a TAPI CD, USB, SCSI, NTFS manual. Okay, so let's try. Any of these could really work. Let's try UDVD. Yes. Tap. Yes. 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 Okay, Panasonic USB mass storage, USB CD2, TIAC USB CD-ROM device driver, USB, Asustek USB CD-ROM, iOmega SPI, all of the above. Okay, so to save a whole lot of time, I've just copied all of the files of the Windows 95 setup onto the Hiren's BootCD flash drive. So hopefully it will actually detect USB and work, which, you know, it's highly unlikely that it'll actually successfully do it. It detected the SanDisk Cruiser that I have installed. Well, that's pretty nice. Do I want to load this? Not really, if it already found it. Last time I set up all this crap, it... Okay. D. E. F. G. R. Oh my god. Look at all that crap. In a big DOS image with all the programs, just start Mini XP, USB boot, okay. How the hell do I load up the drive? So this is DOS Commander and... What? Evaluation period exceeded by 4,404 days? What? This is shareware software. I don't even know what I'm doing. Oh my god, it actually works. Here we go. Drive. Select drive. The RAM disk. Oh my god. Those are the files. Those are the files I needed! Why couldn't I find these before? Yes, so this is Windows 95 OSR 2. Don't ask me how I got here, but I think I may have found it. Okay, alright. Setup. Oh, shit. I forgot to use the command line. So wait, if it can read C... No, scan disk! You son of a bitch! No! No, that's not drive C! That's a USB flash drive! It's legitimately scanning a... No! So we were able to start the setup, but there's no drive to install it onto. The only drive there is the bootable USB flash drive. So since that's not acceptable, well, actually here is that flash drive. Here we have a utility called Smart FDISK. One of many pieces of software in Hiren's that end with FDISK. There's not really any differentiating factor between them, so we pretty much just have to look through the different drives. So you press F7 to look at a different drive. FAT32, 30 gigabytes, that looks like that's it. It says the file system's FAT32. Drive number 2? Okay, let's get some more information. FAT32 file system not formatted? So it's there, it's detected. It's on the SATA bus, which I think is what's tripping us up a little bit here. Alright, I think I can just use the mouse actually. Partitioned. We can mark it as active. We can even format it. So, let's mark it as active. Okay. So yeah, this is definitely a better FDISK. So then we can format it. Now I assume this software is loaded into memory, but the likelihood of me formatting the Hiren's BootCD is astronomically high. So let me just pull out the disk and hope it still keeps working. Alright, so now we just have that one connected. So let's format it. All data on here will be lost. Okay, there's nothing else plugged in. Yes. Okay, format type, quick, full, and safe. We wanted to show a summary when finished. You can select the block size, but I don't think it really matters. I'll just keep it, I guess, maximum. Hell if I know. Okay. Oh god. There's no way to tell whether or not anything's happening on the disk, because you can't really listen to it, because it's an SSD. Okay. FAT32 file system formatted. Total space, reserve space, use space, free space. Okay, so we set the partition to active, and it's formatted. Okay, so that means that DOS is going to like us like a lot. So now we got to get the hell out of here. Changes to hard to... Yes, save them now. Yes. Okay, now it's our chance to plug in the drive again. Okay, the drive is plugged back in. Should boot right back up. Okay, very good. Alright, so now we probably won't have to use any weird file managers or any bullshit anymore. So, next, DOS. We just want to start up DOS. So this is where things get a little itchy. USB, I believe it works if I just load up this. I went through this a couple times. It's really, really annoying. But it actually does scan and locate. I don't know if you can see it at the bottom, but it will locate the SanDisk Cruiser right at the bottom there. So the likelihood of needing these other... The problem with loading up these other drivers is that yeah, now it's trying to load up stuff for stuff we don't have. Okay. Alright, so S, drive letter S, instead of C is... whatever. Okay, so let's see if we can get drive letter C going. Probably not. Okay, drive D. That might be it. File not found. And it's locked up again. God damn it. Oh my god. Oh my god, there it is. 30 gigs free. So now all we have to do is invoke S. That's the wrong one. CD 95 OSR2. Now this part right here is very important, and a viewer actually suggests that I use this as an option to bypass ScanDisk, which can make SSDs fail and make it so the operating system can never even be installed. Setup is program too big to fit into memory. Cannot load command, system halted. Okay, I just ran and quit something called extended FDISK. So it could be a reference to extended memory stuff, meaning that it could have unlocked the other 500 megs of RAM if we tried the mem command. It appears to have functioned correctly. So MS-DOS is resident in the high memory area. Just what I needed to know. So what's next is we have to go to SC, I think it was. Alright. So okay, now that we have all that extended memory, this should launch it. Yes! Oh my god! Where is it copying the files? I don't know! It's probably copying them onto the drive itself, which doesn't help. Oh my god, I'm starting Windows 95 setup off of a USB drive. Holy piss. Hopefully it doesn't install it onto the said USB flash drive. Hopefully I can choose where it's going. I can't. That's great. Look at this. It's just blinking. So now it's probably installing it on the drive. So I'm going to have Windows 95 and a bunch of other crap on there. So it should give me a destination directory. Now since we have the SSD already set up, we shouldn't run into any resistance. Okay, alright. Collecting information about your computer. Very good. Okay, other directory. Perfect. D. It's keyboard side. Okay. D. Windows. No. Don't check the hard disk. No. You don't want to do that. Yo. Oh, it's fine. Maybe, just maybe. Maybe this will work. Holy crap! I didn't even use the CD. I'm just running this out of a file folder. Okay, alright, that's fine. This is going to be the fastest install ever. Custom. Oh yeah. And some people were wondering why I didn't put the product key for Windows 95 on the video before. It's like, come on, man, it's so old that, you know, why would you, man? And so I was thinking, you know, the product keys are sacred, you know, you don't want just people use them. They, you know, y'alls are mad because you couldn't find yourself your own legit key, man. So, whatever. If you have any of the following devices, check the box next to the item. Well, I do have all of those things, but it's not going to be able to find them, so that really won't help me. And it'll probably make the fucking setup crash. Hopefully not. We've made so much progress. Let's just hope it loaded all the files somewhere so it can find it. Because if we boot off of the SSD, there's no way the Windows 95 is going to be able to load up the USB drivers out of nowhere. Not unless I load up Hiren's again. This could get tricky. Who cares? Like, no. What the fuck? I don't really need fax. I don't need Microsoft Network. I don't need Windows messaging. But I'll take everything else. Okay. Maybe if it installs everything right the fuck now, it'll just need to reorganize everything after it restarts. It's perfect. Okay. Following network components will be installed. Network. There's no way any of this is going to work. There's just no way. I could just remove all these so it doesn't have to install all of this, and I can just install it later. These are all things that even remove that. Okay, Windows log on, fine, whatever. No network bullshit. The user interface is getting installed. No, I do not want to start up disk, and you know I don't have a floppy disk drive. Okay, copy Windows 95 files to your computer. Number 3, restarting your computer and finishing setup. That's going to be the real challenge. So we're copying the files now. This is the crucial point. If it copies all the files needed and then it just needs to reorganize them after the computer restarts, then we're golden. Windows 95 is the easiest Windows yet. The new improved interface is simpler and get more done. Windows 95 is faster and more efficient. You can do more of what you want to do. Windows Explorer is a powerful way to more powerful. Windows 95 has been improved to provide high-powered performance. Smoother multitasking lets you use many programs at once. Do more in less time. 32-bit networking provides speed and reliability at your desk or on the road. Have more fun. From its friendly, intuitive interface to its speedy performance, Windows 95 provides you with the most enjoyable computing experience ever. Plug and play. Just plug it in and turn it on. Windows 95 makes it easier to work with your computers if you're on the desk or away from your road computer's portable PC. Communicate with anyone. Microsoft Exchange Client is your universal inbox for communicating with the outside world. Use the inbox. Microsoft actually did it. Holy crap, that is the most awesome desktop wallpaper ever. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the most crucial part of the whole situation. We're going to restart, but we're going to go to BIOS first. Or maybe not. Since we changed the boot order, we can restart, unplug Hiren's, and just let it boot from the SSD. This is very scary territory, because we're going to boot an operating system off of a SATA SSD, and it's Windows 95. This is not something that I thought would be very possible, but I think it is, so we'll just do it. No more bullshitting around. Set up just a disk in your floppy disk? What? I don't even have one. Okay. Time is now. I changed the exposure, but it's right here. What? CD-ROM. And make it the hard disk. Second boot device will make that the CD-ROM. Okay. Hard disk boot priority. Okay, that's already booted priority. Okay. Now look at this. Apparently the SSD, even though it's SATA, is technically on an IDE channel, which doesn't make any damn sense, but there it is. IDE auto detection. And there it is. Okay. So that probably explains why we've been able to get this far. However, it's not booting. So, go and save it, and exit it. I'll boot directed hard disk now. think I know what it is. Report no floppy disk drive for Windows 95. How about no? Maybe that'll do it? No. So here's the kicker. The Windows 95 setup actually put critical boot files not onto drive D like we needed it to, but it put it on to the frickin' Hiren's BootCD. So what are we going to do? We're going to copy it over. Wait a minute, what? I didn't do anything! I took the SSD out of the computer, I shut it down, I plugged it into my Windows 10 desktop. It just sat there and loaded, it didn't even say that anything was on it. I thought the format of the drive was dead, and I just pulled the plug on the actual drive in the drive sled. And I was like, okay, what? I'm stupid. I already had the camera put in at the screen over here. I'll just use Hiren's to look at the partition table or whatever. So I plug it back in, and I forget to switch over which is the boot device. And, oh my god, wait a minute. I did switch over the boot device. I set the boot device to be the USB flash drive. And the USB flash drive knows where the Windows directory is, and it's on the SSD. So we literally just booted Windows 95 off of a flash drive, but Windows itself is actually on the SATA SSD. This is fucking insane. So the only way we can really fix this is if we move the actual bootloader files off of the USB flash drive, which now no longer will boot Hiren's. It's a broken Hiren's BootCD. It's now a Windows 95 BootCD for the SSD. So that's just great. So now we want to live in Tijuana. That sounds like a good place to live, if you ask me. So yeah. Oh my god. Is this really working? I think it fucked up. It must have fucked up. There's no way. I don't think it's moving. Cause it's stuck, man. Damn it. Well, maybe we just need to wait for it. Wait, what? It just restarted. It restarted all on its own, I think. I don't think I did. Oh my god. Can we safe mode it? Can we safe mode our way in? Oh. We made it! Oh my god, I didn't do anything! Okay. We're here. Oh my god, we're at the desktop. I can't believe it. We actually booted it off of an SSD. Oh my god, let's see what's wrong here. Okay, so we're going to have some serious fucking problems here. We have, I mean, unbelievably. Now, this is probably something the motherboard is doing. This is a lot of behind-the-scenes motherboard weirdness, which is making it so that it mounts the USB flash drive, which it has essentially booted off of right now, as a hard disk. So if we open this, we're going to see the actual Angry Video Game Nerd movie here. Won't be able to watch it, unfortunately, but it's there. There are some other pictures here. I don't know if they're openable. I don't believe it. It actually is loading an image off of the flash drive right now. You can't really see what it is. I think it's a butterfly? Or is it a caterpillar? I can't tell. Well, it is loading stuff off of here. So this is pretty cool. This motherboard, actually, I gotta give some props to right now, because it actually shows this being a mechanical hard disk to it. You see it has a 7 gig capacity. That is the flash drive. It even has the icon for it. Like for Hiren's. This is D, all it has is Windows. So this is what's on the SSD right now. This is not particularly useful. Now we can't really do anything with this because its bootloader has been fucked. So we could go out on a whim and try to copy the files over directly. Using the physical CD version, we could move them over, and then if we're really lucky, it'll work. Okay, so we have technically usable Windows 95. We did it. We installed it. It works. Now it doesn't boot up right because something's wrong. Don't know what it is, but it's wrong. So we got both of them, and then of course we got D here, which is 29 gigs. All right. Let's go ahead and see what this looks like. We got Pentium Pro. That's what it always freaking says when you emulate Windows 95 or whatever. Device manager. I'm surprised this isn't a friggin' mess. I don't know how much this motherboard is helping out with this operating system running. Hell, there's probably drivers for this motherboard for Windows 95. I'll look for them and I'll try to find them, but first we got to get this working right. So we have to copy over the bootloaders. I can't find my Hiren's BootCD for whatever reason, but I have this G-parted disk, which is pretty much has a pre-installed environment of, I believe it has a pre-installed environment of Linux that we'll just use to move the files from point A to point B, hopefully without any incident. Let's cut to that now. Oh great! It thinks it's unallocated on that drive. Let's see why. Unrecognized disk label? Let's not fuck with it because our other, more superior FDISK, our special partition editors knows what it's doing. So let's just be careful and put that away for now. Really, well, wait a minute. If it can't understand the file system, then because this is exactly what I was just using. I thought we made progress up from DOS. What? No, I got it. Just trust me. I remember how Linux works. God damn it. Oh, it sucks. Now we need Hiren's BootCD more than ever, and I don't know where it is. I just made a huge mess. Okay, I am literally burning another Hiren's BootCD because I don't know any other way to do it. So, while we're waiting for that, let's just try and do it with Windows 95. Let's try and copy the files with Windows 95. Bootloader files with Windows 95. So, how the fuck do I get out of this? We're currently at 20%. No, 30% of Hiren's BootCD bootability. I forgot to go into safe mode for Windows 95. It did crash. Okay. Or did it? I can't friggin' tell with that gradient loading bar at the bottom. Your mind plays tricks on you to make you think that it might actually be moving a little bit. But don't be fooled, it isn't. So if you wait here long enough, it will restart. Or I can just plug the power on the computer, plug it back in, and hope that it goes into safe mode next time. Or I can just hit F8 a lot. I think I'm going to do the latter, because that just seems more wise. Okay, at least this BIOS screen is really fast. Yes, okay. So we want safe mode, because it's not safe any other way. Again, we may never get this working outside of safe mode. Hiren's BootCD is going to be finished burning before Windows 95 can even boot. And again, I don't think that was a very fast boot time off an SSD, to be honest, but, you know, whatever. I don't care at this point. So, number one thing we need to remember is options, view. Holy crap, this is not what I'm used to. Hide all, show all files. Okay. Alright. So while I'm here, this is a terrible view. Details, modified. Okay, luckily it's Y2K compliant. So we got boot log and nothing else because the system has hidden those files. So that's great. I got another idea. No, it's not gonna work. Shit. So it's like the SSD is in this magical Windows 95 land that only works in Windows 95. Because right now this disk is not detectable by Linux, and that's saying a lot. So let's give the drive a label so it doesn't freak out. There's a label. Okay. It also says there's a 5 1/4 inch floppy drive, and I don't know why. Yeah, okay. So now that Hiren's is done, we will insert it into this drive, which is, by the way, undetectable by Windows 95. Now the drive has a label, maybe it'll be detectable. Windows is automatic. Oh shit! Because if Windows is automatically hiding those special bootloader files, which Windows 10 doesn't, by the way. I could do it on Windows 10, but it really doesn't like this drive for whatever reason. So we'll go into another Linux pre-installed environment. This is my favorite part. Copying files to RAM. Takes about a week. A long week. A long week. Jesus Christ, it's taking so long. Oh, we're done. I didn't notice. So this is the grand and very special part of Magic, which is just fantastic. So since we've labeled the drive, if that was the extent of the problem, we should have a working FAT32 drive here. And it takes the disk back in. Of course, we have unallocated. Great. So how are we going to copy the files over? We're screwed. Because not even MS-DOS will reveal those kind of files. You know? There's got to be some way to copy the bootloader files over from the... Well, there is one way to do it. There is one way to do this. We'll have to reinstall Windows 95. It's possible we can do it. You want to know why? We can copy all of the files for the setup onto the SSD, run the install off of the SSD, and then it'll work all by itself without having to use the actual boot drive. We're gonna see what happens. We're gonna try and recreate what we did before. So first we have to set the first boot device back to hard disk, set the secondary back to CD-ROM. Save, restart. We have to boot in Windows 95 in safe mode. Then we need to copy the entire contents of the Windows 95 setup CD to the SSD. And since Windows 95 is the only thing at this point that can actually read what's on the SSD, we have to use Windows 95 to copy the files. Done. Restart. Set the boot device back to Hiren's BootCD. Load up a DOS program called Extended FDISK. Running the software shows that DOS also can read the drive in question and shows that it indeed does have a file system, and it's FAT32. You also need to have had this program run because after you quit it, it leaves DOS in a state of being loaded into high memory, which is absolutely essential to running the Windows 95 setup program. So, through some sort of miracle, the SSD is set to drive letter C. All we have to do now is run the setup. And boom, there we are, loading the setup right off the SSD. In fact, we don't even need this anymore. So now, essentially, Windows 95 will install itself from an SSD to that same SSD. It's probably the fastest way you could ever imagine installing Windows 95. Unfortunately, this means we're going to have to reinstall Windows 95. Now, whether or not the Windows 95 setup actually has any method of detecting whether or not it's already been installed, might as well just do everything all over again. And let it create a new directory and use up even more space. At this point, it doesn't matter. What does matter is that it loads on the bootloader so that it can boot all by itself without needing the USB flash drive. So go ahead and install Windows 95 like you normally would. This will work great because when you change the boot device back to the SSD, where Windows 95 is now installed, if it ever needs to pull any files from the Windows 95 setup CD, it'll just pull it off of itself because that's where the installation originated. So it makes everything pretty contiguous, pretty convenient actually. What? And it doesn't work. What happens if we put the USB flash drive back in? It gets totally stuck because now there's multiple conflicting bootloaders of some description. So that means if you want to get this to work, you have to set the boot device back to Hiren's, make sure this is unplugged, load up the partition tool, extended FDISK, fuck up your computer entirely, format the SSD to get rid of all of the bootloader stuff. Make sure you give it a volume label to double check to make sure that it did in fact reformat with FAT32. Make sure there's nothing on the drive. Fuck up your computer again. Boot into Mini Windows XP. Now copy the Windows 95 files onto the SSD from the USB flash drive using Mini Windows XP. Because apparently now the SSD can be actually accessed from something that's not Windows 95. Double check to make sure all 190 megabytes of setup made its way over. Restart. Get back into DOS with extended memory. Double check to make sure the Windows 95 setup is there. Go ahead and remove that USB flash drive. Don't want any cross-contamination now. Start the setup without running ScanDiff. Run Windows 95 setup for a third time. Sit through another run of Windows 95 install. Restart. Switch the boot device back over and pray like hell. And reap the goddamn reward! Yes! It actually booted off the SSD! Yay! None of this! None of this! None of this! No! We did it! Woo! Woo! Didn't even use the CD to stop. Yeah. Do you wanna? No! Yes! But will it boot without safe mode? No. And this might be as close as we're gonna get. And I was not expecting to get this far. No siree. So as you can see, we no longer have the other drive there. We have our two. This is the install folder, the program files folder, etc., 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 so on and so forth. The other way was actually a little bit more convenient to actually boot Windows 95 off of this guy, which is an interesting thing maybe I might do in the future, to actually have this be the boot drive to an older system, because it would make it easier to put files on the root of the drive. All I have to do is plug it in to another computer, plug it back into this, it becomes the boot drive again, and then I also have some extra storage. So essentially, if you want to do it that way, if you want to set something up like that yourself, or if I need to do it, basically what you need to do is you need to make sure you run the setup off of this, but set the installation directory there to have your extra disk. If you want the OS to run off of this just boots it. That's where the OS was. Now, it's just on the SSD. Yeah, it's dark. But I think you get the idea here. Are you hearing me? Are you seeing me? And the real question is, can we actually use MS Paint? And the answer is yes, we most certainly can. It definitely works. We'll probably even be able to save stuff too. In fact, why didn't I save that? That was a beautiful piece of artwork. Let's go back. Let's just get some inspiration again. Oh, I'm feeling a cyan coming on. Oh, wait a minute. Dark green. Oh, this is definitely... Oh, gotta blaze up that weed there we made. Yeah, this looks a little bit like a car. Looks a little bit like what you drew when you were in kindergarten. But either way, we're going to save it because it is just the epitome of art. Of course, there's no My Documents folder in Windows 95, so we have no choice but to save it on the desktop as a 24-bit bitmap. And there it is. If we want to look at it again, we can load it right back up with SSD access time speeds. Look at how fast that is. However, we are using a Intel Pentium Pro, according to Windows 95. It does not tell us the clock frequency, but either or. Is that actually my product key? It is. So yes, this actually would be the product key that you could actually use to get your top of your Windows 95 warning. It still had this format for the product key in Windows 98, but you couldn't do anything with this. The Windows 98 install wouldn't do anything. I mean, it had like, what, 5 boxes? This does not fit into 5 boxes. The Windows 95 entry requires like 1, 2, and 3, all different sized boxes. It's weird. So there's not a whole lot we can do with this computer. We could probably play, what do we got, Minesweeper? We got Minesweeper. I don't have any sound, and I died. I never figured out how to play that damn game. How about calculator? That works. This is as fast as you're ever going to see it. Do you have any cool games? Other games that are not this that we could do something with. Let's see what happened here. Shit. Okay, so I wasn't able to actually get Windows 95 booting normally without safe mode. Oh well. It had something to do with probably display drivers. I was looking through the boot log. It was probably when it was loading in drivers. I did this step-by-step confirmation, and it didn't have problems until it says load Windows drivers, and then something went wrong. So there's a hodgepodge of drivers in there it's trying to muddle together to get this motherboard working. So I'm just going to let it do its thing, because I'm just glad it works. So we're going to do a startup boot test. And the reason why I usually start the boot up test when, since we're not actually waiting for the BIOS, although some people have said that their boot ups are faster than a lot of the weird stuff I'm doing, even with waiting for the BIOS. So I mean, I know like all the stuff I'm doing in these videos is pretty crappy. The speeds are pretty slow, even for the SSDs and whatnot. So as soon as I see starting Windows 95, I'm going to start the timer. Oh wait, but we have to do safe mode. Shit. Safe mode. So maybe we'll start it from safe mode. We'll see what happens in post. And then I'm just going to press enter when that little thing comes up. And we're done. 16 seconds. But that's safe mode. We're not loading any drivers, nothing. So, that's it. ZTube didn't work. I'm going to have to mess around with way too much stuff to get that working. If you do want to see me do a video where I actually try to get some sort of game other than like what, Solitaire working or Paint working, it's got to be later because there's so many potential things, and it takes so long to move files around because I have to boot up into Mini Windows XP to transfer it over because I can't plug the SSD into my main computer because it fucks up the whole USB bus and I have to restart the computer. Yes, I literally had to do that. The Windows 95 SSD messed up my Windows 10. I needed to restart it. So I'd like to thank everybody for watching, and yes, it turns out that the fonts weren't the problem. I actually see the fonts are a little bit different now. I was kind of fascinated to see that the fonts changed in real time as soon as when they became available again. And I think it just copied them into the fonts folder, so that's kind of annoying. But anyway, we never really solved that issue. But, so yeah, that's the video. It's probably going to be a long one. Good lord, there's so much stuff I had to do. This was probably one of the most frustrating projects I've ever done. Trying to get Windows 95 working on an SSD, a SATA SSD. I would have never dreamed of it, but you know, there it is. It's Windows 95 running right there. It works. So thanks everybody for watching, and I guess I'll see you next time.